Donald Trump's campaign has provided possibly the dumbest possible explanation for why the RNC is now asking job applicants if the 2020 election was stolen. See, you might think that that's an attempt to gauge if they're loyal to Donald Trump, if they're at least willing to pretend to believe the big lie. No, it's dumber than that. They say, if we don't have someone who has thought deeply about these issues as it pertains to the Republican Party, then that would suggest they're not a particularly curious young person. It's important to understand if your frontline political staff has any firsthand opinion or view of things they observed or didn't observe 4 years ago, and how that factors into how they operate now. The goal is not loyalty, it's to bring on political staffers who can, quote, think through complex problems and come to all the wrong conclusions. I added that part. The official said that the interview question about the 2020 election does not amount to a litmus test, to which a second official then jumped in to say, there is a litmus test, and that is, do you support President Trump or not? Which I'm gonna make the case kind of undercuts everything else that you just said. Your BS excuse was kind of undercut when you're like, no, it is totally a litmus test, but it's not about the 2020 election and whether Donald Trump legitimately won. It's about whether you support Trump, which is like the exact same thing. It's a litmus test, that's what it's for. They're not interested in curiosity, or at least let's say that we didn't think that these job applicants were gonna be lying. There is a form of curiosity that conspiracists have in abundance. The people who are really into conspiracy theories are curious people, but they're also misguided. They don't know when they go looking with their curiosity for information, they don't have the capacity to evaluate what they find, whether it's reasonable or not, whether they're being conned or scammed or not. Before we continue with the story, we depend on members to keep on going. Don't wait, click join now on YouTube. And I don't know if this official knows that or not, but it's important for us to understand the difference between those things. And so Brett, this is a new explanation. How do you evaluate it? Do you think that it is fair to use thought exercises like this in screening potential applicants?
The key when interviewing people is to ask questions that don't technically break the law and don't explain to them what a good answer is, and then go off secretly and make your decisions based on what you personally want out of a job applicant. And it's a difficult process. And in many scenarios, it's easy to cover up your original intent if you're trying to if you're Donald Trump, maybe if you're asking someone who's applying to a job as a stock, at a stock brokerage firm, oh, would you, if let's say you got intel ahead of time as to what's going to happen with a stock that is definitely insider information. My question for you is, would you act on that, or would you report that to the the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission? And then when people answer, I would absolutely act on that, you just know that they're so stupid that they would admit to you that they would do something like that you don't do it, Yeah. You don't hire them. But in this scenario, it's like, look around. They're trying to convince us that there's like a very brilliant reason for them asking this question when everyone affiliated with Trump denies the results of the 2020 election, including Donald Trump. And if one of the questions is, are you loyal to Donald Trump? And Donald Trump himself is rejecting the results of the 2020 election, well, then obviously the thing they want is someone who rejects the results of the 2020 election. But for the RNC, they probably are going to gravitate toward the people who give them the vibe that they're going to be able to speak out two sides of their mouths in ways that are beneficial to the party, and the people who miraculously were able to keep their jobs in the transition between Trump and between Rana's RNC and Trump's.
Yeah, or those who were fired and reapply and actually managed to make it through. I guess you'd have to be pretty savvy in your lying to do that. But yeah, the idea that they're just interested in your curiosity. Like if they had a question about like, hey, what do you think about like DEI programs? We don't care which position you hold. We're just interested in your curiosity. Like, no, get the hell out.
No, they'd say, no, you can say you're against those things. But the question, it depends on also their role. Do you think there were irregularities? They're looking for an answer like, listen, I think our number one priority is to beat Joe Biden in the next election. And along the way, to prevent the kind of shady behavior in the voting process that led to this uncertainty around the election. We need to defeat Joe Biden in a way that is fair, equitable, and keeps them from cheating.
Yeah, that's overly fair. I think I agree though. I agree. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.